I'm going to prove to you very quickly and very easily that black people were not only indigenous to the Americas, but especially the West Coast in California. May 14th, 1864, the Queen of California. Let's jump down here to the second part of this article. We are going to touch on Khalifa. We are going to touch on the Lemurians. We're going to touch on other newspaper articles that talk about the Indians, the indigenous people of California, and what color they were. Let's jump to this article. She was not petite, nor blonde, nor golden haired. She was large and black as the ace of clubs. This is talking about Queen Khalifa, California, the Queen of California, who California got its name from. A black group of female warriors that said to reside on the island of what is known today as California. That was a newspaper article from 1864. Remember, she was not petite, nor blonde, nor golden haired. She was large and as black as the ace of spades. Let's jump into some more proof. Just to expound on this more, some more articles to further validate that the Amazonians, or Queen Khalifa and her warriors, were black. In the romance, they were black Amazons led by the wondrous Queen Khalifa. Again, check out the top part of that article right there. Although very black and very large, she is very beautiful. This is in California. Alright, so we touched on Queen Khalifa and we're going to get back to her. But I want to get more solid evidence that black people were indigenous to the Americas, specifically California. We want to stick with California. So with that, I'm going to go to this next article right here. And this newspaper article I've had for about 2 years, and I've already made a whole specific video on this article. So if you want to watch it, go ahead. But in this article, it asks, why is the Negro, specifically the American Negro, hated? Why is he so mistreated? Why is he abused? Why is he hated? Why is he disliked around the world? Why is he so abused around the world? And in it, he poses two questions. He says, is it because he's a slave? And it goes through the history of European slavery and European servitude. And he says it can't be, because white people were sold like cattle just like black people were at one point. And then it says down here, get this, is it because the Negro is black? But on this ground, the action should as well lie for impugning kindred with the native of Malabar. Get this list of people. He's saying, is the Negro hated because he's black? And then he proceeds to list a group of people who are just as black, look just as dark as the Negro, look just like the Negro, and saying it can't be because these people look just like Negroes and are not hated. The native of Malabar and many other parts of India, with the Brazilian, the Californians, the New Hollander, the Laplander, the Greenlander, who are all of a swarthy hue, and many as black as the native of Congo. The Californians, the Brazilian, those are both on the continent of America. The Californian is just as black as the Negro. Maybe even just as black as the native of the Congos. What's going on here? Indians playing a game at a Californian mission. So, Indians, black in California. Queen Khalifa, black in California. Let's get more proof that black people own California. Now we get to Lemuria. What does Lemuria have to do with California? What does California have to do with Lemuria, you might ask? Well, I'll show you. Let's read this right here. The first race bearing the form of man and distinct from all other creatures, that is, having the capacity to think, was the dark or black race, whom we know as the Negro. This race came into existence in Lemuria. We can also find other spots in this book that tell us that the Lemurians were Negro. The Negroes were Lemurian. Interesting. So now that we've made that connection with Lemuria and Negroes, let's learn some more about Lemurians and how that links to California. This is from the book, The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, Volume 1. Okay, so that book, Our Story of Atlantis, just told us that the Lemurians were Negro, that Negroes are Lemurians. Now this book is going to tell us about Lemuria. What happened after Lemuria fell? What happened after Lemuria was destroyed, and where did they go? millions and millions of Lemurians who by then had settled along the west coast of North and South America and in other places began to be pulled to Atlantis. Lemurians, after Lemuria was destroyed, were residing on the west coast of America, the west coast of the United States, also known as what? California, or at what time might have been an island on the west coast of what we know as the United States. What do these Lemurians look like? Remember, we were told Lemurians are Negro, right? Negroes were in California. We have the legend of Queen Khalifa, an island full of black warrior women. We have the Mission Indians. We have the article where it states that the Californians were just as black as the Negro or as the native of Congo. And now this article, or this book, is telling us that the Lemurians, who are Negro, were residing on the west coast of America. Okay, let's keep on going with the Lemurians. All right, we're going to jump into this article, which led to immortality for all three, the father, the mother, and the child. You can get a pretty good idea of what Lemurians looked like by looking at her, or looking from looking at her. The bust of Taya. This guy is saying a Lemurian looks like this. Another book where we're told the Lemurians are black or look black. And now we were told that those Lemurians were residing on the west coast of America after the island of Lemuria sank. Now here's a bust or a photo of what they say Queen Khalifa looks like. And this is a bust of a black Lemurian who they said was dwelling on the west coast of the United States, or what is now known as California. Oh, and you guys know, so stop lying. White people make whole entire books talking about the magic of Lemuria, a journey to the energy sites on the central coast of California. This is a book I own. So they know Lemuria was located on the west coast. They know about Mount Shasta. They know about it. They know about all these sites around the United States. They know about Sedona. They know about the west coast. They know about the coast of California. That's why it's so pricey to live over there. That's why everywhere that is high energy, they price you out of, and they move themselves into. There's a mound near where I live, and it's in pretty much a gated community. If a young black man was walking around there and wanted to go see that mound, he would most likely get the police called on him so quickly. This is what they do. They build on your sacred energy sites. This one is a Lemurian energy site on the coast of California, where it tells us that the black Lemurians were dwelling. It tells us that Queen Khalifa, the black warrior queen, was dwelling. If you look in old dictionaries, you will see that Nigger and Indian were synonyms, and that colored is simply short for copper colored. Why do you think they keep on changing the titles from Indian to Negro to colored to African American? That also goes with the curses of Deuteronomy of us being called continuous bywords. I want you to jump up here. California was once an island. Let's read this part of this. When California was an island run by women and a queen named Khalifa, which California is named from, up until the Great Flood of 1810. The waters between continental USA and California Island was called the Red Sea. Interesting. Now, I don't know if I will go and say that this is the Red Sea or the Dead Sea, but I do think that those locations are in the United States. Everyone says that the Red Sea's over here, it's the Gulf of Mexico, it's this, it's that, we'll see. I do believe it was over here, but I don't know exactly where. Here's another great article. Your forefathers literally admit that they are the ones that fulfilled ancient prophecy. Ancient prophecy accomplished in America. They literally tell you, they literally are admitting that they are the descendants of Japheth, and they fulfilled prophecy by coming over here to the Americas and enslaving Shem. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Interesting. How indigenous Americans are depicted in the walls of pyramids in the Yucatan Peninsula. What they tell us a black Lemurian princess, queen, looks like, dwelling on the coast of California. Your out of Africa theory doesn't make sense. It's never made sense. To try to place black people or the Negro to belonging to one continent is asinine and it's evil, and we know why you do it, but your history is falling apart. And the true indigenous the true kings and queens, are rising.